Oftentimes, when we start to, as people of color, men and women, have conversations about our social injustices and the things that we deal with, there's a tendency for us to go into a what I would call a struggle Olympics on who has it the hardest. It becomes this discussion on the competition for the gold medal on who has it the worst. And let there be no doubt about it, once we raise detailed concerns or detailed cases and points on the things that transpire between black men and black women, there are a lot of frightening things. There are, a lot of situations that make us wince. There are a lot of situations that, we might look at that case in point and say, damn. And you know it isn't or shouldn't be a conversation where you're ever trying to find something that outdoes someone else's tragedy and someone else's situation. It's like, when you're telling a friend or you're telling someone, hey, I'm going through this thing and, I lost someone close to me, or, I'm experiencing anxiety or depression, and it's like they try to outbeat you, or they try to outsad you, or they try to outdo you. Like, oh, well, you lost your grandma, but my mom and my cousin and my brother passed, and I have cancer. It's like, no. Understand that struggles are exactly what they are. We are all victims. And if we're going to be victims, it's not to keep tally on the victimization. It's not right. We're all victims of social injustices. We're all victims of police brutality. The lasting effects of Willie Lynch and Jim Crow. Wages not being paid what it is that we are truly worth. A lot of the generational trauma that slavery has left us with, those are our parents, our grandparents, those teachings, a lot of the rape that has happened, the buck breaking, stereotypes, all of these things have happened to us just the same. Might not be in the same frequency, but ultimately, as people of color, male and female, it has happened. Women's rights just as well as men's rights have been questioned. If we talk about women's rights versus men's rights, not so much, but I'm pretty sure there are times in valid points where men can give detailed accounts on where their rights have been violated as well. And it's like, we need to come up with a solution, but the solution isn't to fight each other. The solution isn't to have constant conversation and tallying of who goes through the most hurdles, who goes through the most loops, who's discriminated against the most. And it's okay to have your opinion based on your situation, based on your own individual plight, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we are all at the baseline oppressed just the same. It doesn't take away from that. Because at the end of the day, that black man and that black woman are both black. Those people of color are still going through those injustices. And if it's not in one area, it's in another. So at the end of the day, I think that for the black man and the black woman, the scale over time does balance. And with us realizing that the scale balances, we're able to come together and start to mend a lot of the dynamic that has been broken so many years and centuries ago. And we can start to restore that, and we can start working on mending that fabric. But it isn't until we stop keeping tally. We have to stop that. It's whack. It's tacky. I don't want to reach out to help someone and then they say, okay, well, you can't possibly know what this feels like, because you don't know what it feels like to be pulled over by a police officer and fear for your life. Okay, well, I might have not experienced that, but I know what being arrested feels like. And, regardless if it's being pulled over or being arrested, if there's a trauma there, there's a trauma there. And, let's start at where our common ground is versus starting at where we defer in our experiences, and then we'll be able to really get somewhere.